And that's what we do every single week right here on Willard and Dibs 95.7 The Game. We hang with our guy, Mike Silver. You can read his 49er content, of course, in the San Francisco Chronicle. But you can catch his stuff all over the place. How are you, Mike? What's cooking today?
Don't forget the blue and gold.
Yeah, well, there's that. There's that. Yeah. That's the second Cal reference on this show today. I already referenced the play back in the day and how, as wonderful as it was, it has messed with gamblers because everybody tries it now at the end of every game. And I was one of those people that had the Jets plus 3.5 against the Dolphins in Week 18 and threw the ball out of the back of the end zone and lost by 5. Mike, it messed everything up for me.
Well, that's someone who experienced that magical moment in person. Your future gambling concerns were not on the top of my mind at that moment.
Yeah.
I will say that the University of California has changed a lot of things, socially, chemically, educationally. There are elements named after Cal, and we also changed football. You're welcome.
Yes, and also changed the fortunes of my future generation. My son is a senior, graduating in May. And by the way,
you understand the affliction, the lifelong affliction that awaits you. I'm sorry. I did that to one of my kids, too. It's cruel. It sucks.
No, it's great. And actually, third reference for Cal, because Brian Anger, we were talking about punters and holders, and he, of course, as you know, Mike, is a Cal kid himself. So
Brian Anger was drafted ahead of Russell Wilson, and I remember saying at the time, and I love Brian Anger, obviously, as a Cal guy, though I didn't love seeing him so often. But my line was, it was third round, and I said, I don't care if he has a special skill that allows him to kick the ball in a way that every punt will definitely be fumbled. I still wouldn't take him that high. I'm just not, It's not that I don't respect punters. I want to be clear. I do respect punters. I just respect them way, way less than I respect the other 52. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're literally drafting someone that you hope doesn't appear in the game. That's what's odd about it there. Mike Silver with us. All guests appear on the Bud Light guest line. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. All right, here's something, Mike. I wonder what you think. These are supposed to be the two best defenses, certainly in the conference. They're also teams that over the second half of the season both averaged north of 30 points a game. Is a shootout possible with these two defenses? What do you think is the game style Sunday?
Yeah, shootout's possible. You saw the way Dak Prescott played in Tampa. Troy Aikman, I believe, on the air said he thought it was the game of his life. That's high praise, but it's tough to argue that given the context. And, CeeDee Lamb can ball. You got T.Y. Hilton resurrected. The tight ends are making plays. So, and they can run it. And obviously Pollard's a breakaway threat, and they've still got some really, really good linemen, including Zach Martin. So, yeah, they'll have chances to score. But to me, the biggest issue in this game is that pass rush the Cowboys have. Brock Purdy is a guy who, for all the comfort and improvisation and poise that he's displayed, if I had one thing to quibble with, and I've talked about this with Kyle, and I've even talked about it with Brock, who laughed, but sometimes he's not really quite up on the speed of the people he's playing against. It ain't Iowa State, so he took a 17-yard sack from Isaiah Simmons against the Cardinals. He was kind of like, oh, yeah, that guy's a first-rounder, huh? I'm like, yeah. So be careful with Michael Parsons, DeMarcus Flores, and Fred. They're coming, and if you get cute back there, that could end ingloriously, maybe in worse than a sack. That said, I do think if they're playing some man and they're racing to the quarterback, which they seem to be doing, if you can get outside and scramble a couple of times, think Joe Montana in Super Bowl 19 for those old people like me on this program or listening. But, I think a couple of scrambles could loosen that up a little bit and make them respect that a little bit. So I don't know. It's how's Purdy going to handle that, and how much will he have to keep up with Dak Prescott? I don't want to. I wrote about this. I think people are. I said 49er fans should be nervous. It's the Cowboys. I do think the 49ers are better. I think the 49ers at their best would probably beat anybody, or certainly anybody in the NFC. But it's one game, and this team is real. This is not This is not like some the Cowboys haven't won to play or been to the championship game in a long time, or Jerry Jones, he needs to hire a general manager, or Dak Prescott, he's not really elite. Like, this is a real team. Dak's a real dude. They're good. It's going to take a really, really good game.
Let's stay with that Dak is a real dude notion, because I think more and more the way Dak's played of late, he is a real dude. How much is he a two-way threat, though, in terms of breaking the pocket and making this defense vulnerable? Because we've seen the Niner D in the past a little bit vulnerable to mobile QBs who can run.
Yeah, and so he's a bigger, way more experienced, probably more athletic Purdy, right? So, yeah, he can do that, and he's really accurate. So, again, 49ers have a really good defense. They're going to have a great plan. They're going to make plays. They could take over this game. I just think I know they're taking it seriously in the locker room, because I've talked to them. I would caution some of the new age 49er fans who are pointing to weird things like, oh man, look at their stats against Washington, or we beat them last year, man. Like buckle up. This could be a real football game. Not that it matters what the fans think, but I can just tell you the players and coaches perceive this as a very tough test.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Mike Silver with us here, 95.7 The Game. All right, hey, let's talk Charvarius Ward, Mooney Ward. I know you've talked to him a bunch this year. He was so good at taking DK Metcalf out of the game in Seattle a month and a half ago, and it looked and felt a little bit different last weekend. What is the state of the secondary and Mooney's ability to follow CeeDee Lamb around the field?
I mean, he's been really, really, really good this year. He did not look good against his former team, the Chiefs, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt there because I know his groin was bothering him, and he and I have talked about it. He basically told me any other opponent I would not have played in that game, but it was my former team, and he's obviously hoping for a rematch later. But, yeah, I mean, DK Metcalf's good, and Geno Smith's really accurate. So I don't want, the days of, Deion's just going to take that guy out mentality in today's NFL are over. It takes usually more than one guy. And by the way, I saw Deion go up against Jerry Rice, Andre Rison. Sometimes he got too. And he's the greatest cover corner who ever lived. So, I think Charvarius Ward is really good. I think the issue is more if you believe he can handle CeeDee Lamb with some help, but if you think that's your best matchup, then you wonder how Lenore on the other side will be able to deal with their guys who are not, they have not announced themselves as, co-pilots to CeeDee Lamb. They don't really have that classic 1-2 punch unless T.Y. Hilton can get in a time machine. But what they do have is play action and explosiveness in Pollard and a really accurate, confident quarterback. So, look, I think the Cowboys will get theirs. I think the Niners will get theirs. I think it'll probably boringly come down to turnovers and mistakes and big moments. And I think the 49ers are going to be able to move the football and have explosive plays on anybody. I don't know how many they'll need.
Niners 0-4 when they have 2 or more turnovers. The Cowboys have had 7 such games where they've turned it over 2 or more times. Are you anticipating a 9-turnover game, Mike, like the 1982 NFC Championship game between these two?
Yeah, it was 81 technically this season, but it was in 82.
Yeah,
I know that game very, very well because it was Joe Montana's, moment where he became a legend, and yet he was, he was very turnover prone that game. It was an anxiety dream of a game for 49er fans, and I did grow up one in Los Angeles, weirdly, and I remember all the stress. But, I think Kyle Shanahan has really stated this stuff pretty well recently, just about what is different about football and that it's just one game. And so that was his rationale, for example, for continuing to play hard after they clinched. And, yeah, they were trying to get the number 2 seed and maybe the 1, but he also said it's a risk trying to get people to play an elimination game at their very, very best if they're not, if they've been out of it. And, these games, this is what makes legacies and legends. And, we draw a lot of conclusions based on the way one play happens or a ball bounces and people get fired and all that. That's what makes it so cool. But, I think when teams are good enough, and I think these two teams are, sometimes instead of just, wrapping our head around it 40 times or hyper-analyzing it or trying to figure it out, I sometimes just enjoy those 3 hours, watch them, see what happens. And we've seen Brock Purdy be tested in a lot of contexts. We have not seen him in dire straits where if you don't take the ball down the field right now, the season is over. I know 49er fans are hoping they don't have to see that on Sunday, but I think it could be really cool. I remember the 1992 NFC Championship game. Steve Young's first championship game as Niners starter. Joe is the backup, bizarrely, but that's a whole other story. And Jimmy Johnson's Cowboys came in and played, at a higher level than most of us thought they could at that stage. But it really came down to a couple of plays. There was a touchdown called back to Jerry Rice on a hold. There was a defensive hold on Pierce Holt that gave them a key first down. And there was the play to Alvin Harper on the slant with Eric Davis and no safety. And, he got him on that. A couple of years later, Eric got his revenge. So, look, I'm excited. I think it's going to be really fun. Wrote about what's going to happen next year with the 49ers quarterback situation, conclusively sourced and everything for those who are interested. I think it's 99 cents for 3 months now, so treat yourselves, everyone, and check it out at the Chronicle.
That's too rich for my blood, Mike. Sorry. I'm out.
I am already.
I'm going to have to talk to Matt Nahagian about that. If it's too rich for your blood. What's going on?
I mean, 33 cents a month. That comes down to about 8 cents a week. That's a penny a day, Mike. And, I mean, when you put it that way, how many times do you walk around and you find a penny, you see one on the ground, pick that up and you just subscribe to the Chronicle? You're welcome.
I would put it this way. Like back at Cal in the 80s, there were some really good street musicians, and, they might be playing David Crosby, who, rest in peace, unfortunately passed away yesterday. But if they entertained me, even for those 2 seconds, I was usually going to flip a quarter into the guitar case. So that was our generation's way of processing content.
Yeah.
But then it became Napster and, hey, the internet, and there's a paywall. So if you philosophically can't pull that trigger, I'm going to continue to write great stuff that you can't get anywhere else, and you can hope someone aggregates it somewhere.
Well, as a faithful subscriber, I'm reading your stuff every week. But is there anything else that you would like to potentially share about the future of the quarterback situation?
I would.
Yeah. What do you got there, Mike? What do you got?
And Brock Purdy has one. They will go into next season with Brock Purdy as their QB1, whether they say it's a competition with Trey Lance or not. And there's no reason they can't keep both and continue to try to develop Trey Lance. They get along great. He's still on a rookie deal. You don't have to trade him. Purdy's obviously on an incredible deal, but I break it all down for you. He's done enough to convince Kyle, and also, you're trying to sign Nick Bosa and maintain this incredibly loaded roster. What a gift to have that salary structure with a quarterback that you do trust. And as we've seen this season, sometimes it takes more than one. So I don't think you give Trey Lance away. And I also get into what his trade value is, or perceived trade value around the league. I talked to a bunch of GMs and decision makers yesterday, and I can kind of give a vague sense of that.
Well,
who needs to subscribe now? You just gave it away for free, Mike.
No, he didn't.
I didn't tell you what his trade value.
Yeah, I think that was an expertise. Give him a little something, but not give him all of it. Michael Silver, ladies and gentlemen, FTW. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. I'll give it all to 95.7 The Game. It's just a matter of, when and how.
Give it away now.
Michael Silver, tear down that paywall. That's my regular. Free regular.
There you go.
That was good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pay that guy more. Pay that guy so he can
Seriously, get that guy a Chronicle subscription for that kind of content, right? All right, Mike. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care, you guys.
All right. Hey.